part. This is actually one of the easiest sections to go through on the month management operating rhythm. Apologize for the wind. There's kind of nothing we can be done about it here. So for the monthly management operating rhythm, there's a couple things that you need to remember. One of them is that your monthly strategic. So this is a meeting that's optional. It's recommended for executives. However, I think in the beginning of an organization, the beginning of any team, it's really helpful. Essentially, it's a monthly meeting where you get together and you go in and you take a look at how are we doing as it relates to decision making. Each individual on your team, and this also comes from the book Death by Meetings, that has decisions they want to get made. You as the leader hold them accountable to, you need to bring, what is the business problem that you're trying to address? What is the impact to the business because we haven't made this decision or because we need to make this change? And what is your recommended solution? And then the impact of that solution. One of the nice things about requiring your team to go in and do exactly that is it forces them to think through, not all decisions are worth being made. Some things they can just go and implement on their own. If there's no impact one way or the other and they want to try something a little bit different, okay, go do it. But it teaches them that you as the leader need them to have thought through, what is the problem that we're facing now? What is the impact of that problem? What are we going to go do differently, and how is that going to make change? Doing that meeting monthly, and the recommendation for that is that you actually don't put a limit on the time to it. You start in the morning. If they've come prepared and they have all of those things documented and written down, you have the meeting, and you don't end until you as the leader make the decision. A decision is not, we need more data. They need to come, you look at the report, or they're ready to go in and present. If they have the data, you as a leader are forced to make a decision. It also makes it to where things don't go unnecessarily slow. That's really, really important as you're thinking about the monthly part of the management operating rhythm. The second piece is the every deal pipeline review. So we talked about this. You already are supposed to go through and do a pipeline review every single week, but this one happens monthly, and it's the first week of each month. So what you actually go through and do, you take every single deal that is in the pipeline. Doesn't matter when it's predicted to close. If it's predicted to close in 2 years, you should probably discuss that. Probably not a real deal. The other part of it is it might be predicted to close next week. What you go in and do is you have every single rep that reports into you deal by deal. And it should take about 2.5 minutes per deal. So these are not strategic. You're not going through a major strategy on each deal. Instead, you're doing the opposite. You're just tactically assessing. Do they know, is this a real deal? So 5 things that you go through on these. 1, you're going to go through and ask the questions, what stage is it in and why? They should have an easy answer for that. Does that match the stage system that you're using? Are you sure that's what you want it to go in and be? Then you go in and say, what's the close date? Is this the latest it will reasonably close? If no, talk about that. But ideally, they go in, and they've answered all these questions before because they get used to every month you do this with them. So first stage, is it the right stage and why? Have they met the criteria to be in this stage? Second, latest it will close reasonably. And that's the date you put in. Not when they hope it closes, not when their end of quarter is. When is the latest, based on what's happening with the customer, this deal's going to go in and close? Next, dollar amount. What is the lowest it will reasonably close for? A lot of people also mess this up. They'll go in and they'll put the dollar amount to 0. They don't want their manager to get into the details with them on that deal. That's not reasonable. The deal can't close for 0. Otherwise, it's not a close. It's also probably not going to go close for 3 times the largest deal you've ever closed to piece of business. And so going in and listing what's the lowest it will reasonably close and why. And then you go into what is the next event. And so you're going to go in and ask, what is the next scheduled thing the customer is supposed to get done and that you're going to go do with them? And then last but not least, is this a real deal? If nothing has happened in the last 5 weeks documented inside of your CRM, it's not a real deal. And so you go and say, what's happened in the last 5 weeks? If the answer is nothing, or they've sent a bunch of emails, but the customer's not responding, mark the deal as lost. So there's only 2 things in this. You do your monthly strategic, where you're going to go in and make sure all decisions have been made that need to be made. Your reps or leaders, if they're reporting into you, are coming with the strategic proposals. And then your every deal pipeline review, where every single deal gets those 5 things: dollar amount, lowest it could reasonably close for; stage, accurately listed; close date, latest it could reasonably close for; next thing the customer needs to do and the rep needs to do, and is it a real deal? Has activity actually taken place in the last 5 weeks?